What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video we have a mix of kind of a report and kind of a new update for me as far as my fishing experience. So let's get on with the report. So as far as striper is concerned, my last videos you guys see, I've been limiting it out. I've been catching some pretty decent size males, nothing too big, but a bunch of fat males feeding on bait fish. And recently, as far as late February, early March, the stripers haven't been chasing the baitfish as much. And as far as our area, they've mainly been, I think they're in the spawning phase now. So now I think the big females are come in the system, and now the males are migrating to go spawn with them. And so it's been tougher in the open areas you see me fishing in. And so recently, well, the last few trips, we've been catching more fish along the bank, points, and current breaks. So that's just my review of the Delta so far. Don't take my word for it, but that's how my experience has been basically. And so for the next part of the video, I have an update for me. I caught my new PB striper last weekend. So I gotta give you a rundown of the story because it's pretty unique. So that day it was me and my dad. It was our first trip out officially alone on our boat. Before, we always used to have someone with us because they always had free time, and either that or we always have someone help us. But this trip, it was us, me and my dad, kind of first time experience alone. And we went, and it was pretty cool. It's our spawning time together. And then that day it was kind of tough. I can't lie. We found some cool areas, a lot of small bass, and that day we were going through a lot of small bass that day. And through that day we only caught bass, one crappie, and then me, which I'll show later, my first I believe hatchery steelhead at the dock of all places. So it was an okay day except for the steelhead. I was pretty stoked about it. And then after, when the sun started setting, we decided to chase stripers specifically. So we hit up the normal areas you guys see in my videos, and we weren't having it. We only got a few bites, very far in between. Me and my dad had a double hookup, but we both lost our fish. Mine at the boat, probably barely 18 inches. So I wasn't really fazed by it. And then towards the end of the day, it was towards the end of the day, and I decided to make a run to a spot I personally do pretty good in. Every time I go there, it's been pretty cool. So we go there, and the spot itself, it's a bunch of Thule islands, and in between is rushing current, which goes from super shallow water to super deep water. So it's kind of like if stripers hold up there, they have an ambush point, and if they need to, they have instant access to deep water. It's just kind of my logic of where they might hold up. So we pull up to the spot. We only have maybe 15 minutes left before we gotta head in. And then there's a corner in between these two islands and where the current rushes in, as I explained. And I made 3 casts kind of into the current, but not too into it. And I didn't get any bites. And then my 4th cast, I went all the way down to the middle, almost towards the end, I would say the outbreak of the actual current channel. And then I set the hook on my new PB, which I'll get to later about the size and length. But yeah, I set the hook, my drag slipped a little bit, but then it felt pretty small, so I wasn't really fazed by it. And then I look up, and then I see its wake and kind of like her splashing around the water, and I got super hyped. I saw it was giant, it was my PB, and then my line went soft. I was like, what the hell? And then I thought I lost her. I've only been fishing for 3 years. This is my first year owning the boat. So this is my first big fish, basically. And yeah, I was super shocked. I put my rod down against the boat. I was trying to calm myself, but deep down I was really mad because that was my PB, which my PB before it was only 27 inches. Not the greatest thing to really talk about as far as stories. And yeah, I thought I lost the fish. So I put my rod down. I kind of sat back against the deck like that. I was just like, what the heck, dude? I just lost my PB. And then I look at my rod tip, and the rod tip's like, dung, 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 dung. So I pick my rod up, I set it again, and then she's still on. And the reason I think my line felt soft is that I set the hook, and the hooks ended up in two under the gill plate right here, and then I'm sorry, the two under the jaw right here, and then one in the gill plate. So I think I set it so hard, she ran super fast towards me. That's like incomprehensible fast. My gear ratio can keep up with it. So that's why I thought I lost her. But she just created so much slack in between me and her. So back to the story. I set the hook, and then she was dogging me. You know, this is my first double-digit striper, which it's almost kind of sad in the thought, but it was my first double-digit. So she ran from maybe the right side all the way to the left to the front, back to me, and then she was just dogging me, maybe 3 to 5 minutes. So my shoulder, I have a bad shoulder, so it was kind of like almost like very tiring. So we get her to the boat, and then, well, first off we get it close to the boat, and she didn't look that big. She only looked like 26 inches. So I thought, there's no way I was getting dogged by a 26 incher. So well, it was pretty chaotic, but we tried to net the fish, and then she was just not having it. And then after maybe 3 tries, we finally got her to go head first in the net, and then we bring it up, and I look at it. It's just like super fat. It was super fat. Like, it's the fattest fish I've seen both by far in person, and the fattest fish I've ever caught in general. So it was pretty big, and so I was super hyped. You know, when I saw the transition of like looking like 26 inches to like possibly a 15-pounder, you know, I was super hyped. And I don't know, I was just like, you know, we let the current take us to the Tule Island. We were just posted up, and then we were just like, what the hell? This thing's big. And just a quick rundown. I'll show you the setup and the lure I caught it on. So the lure I caught it on was the River to Sea S-Waver 168, and it's in the color bone. And then I don't know if you guys can see this, but you can see the bite marks and the constant scratches that fish gave me. Because I personally haven't caught too much in this color, because I've never committed to it that much. But the fish before I caught before this, which I landed, was only 26 inches. So I mean, I had faith. And before I threw this, I was gonna try top water in that same area where I caught her, but I wasn't feeling it. And sometimes you just gotta go with your gut. So I stuck to the S-Waver, and then my setup is a Savage Gear Browser Series, 7 foot, heavy. You don't have to go too crazy. I like this rod a lot. It feels smooth. The tip is very soft for good swim bait action. It handles this lure pretty well. The casting is pretty accurate. And then I have for the reel, I have the Okuma Cerros, and it's a really expensive swim bait setup. As far as like what I've seen or anybody sees, you see like these like $600 reels and like these, you know, just, it's a pretty inexpensive combo. I like it a lot. And the line, I have 40-pound Kastking line, braided line, and it's in the low vis gray. And I tie no leader, because on the Delta the water's not the clearest. You know, it'll be clear but not too clear like Barry S or lakes like that. So I tie straight to it with the polymer knot. And yeah, that was the my kind of the setup. And that's my first double digit, so I can't say it handles a lot of big fish, but as far as that striper, it handled it pretty well. I didn't face any problems. My line felt tight. And you know, this line, I haven't freighted it at all. I never have, so I feel really confident in this brand. And now you kind of know the story, the pretty insane story of how I caught that fish. And now I gotta give the kind of rundown of how big it was. So I'll show, after this I will show pictures and from multiple angles and like different ways of holding the fish. But the fish weighed in at 16 pounds and 33 not ounces, inches. And you know, that's the biggest fish I've ever, not biggest fish, but biggest striper I've ever seen. So I was super hyped about it. So yeah, that was pretty cool, and thanks for watching. Oh, and one more note, you may be wondering, where's the footage, you know? But that day, I only had one battery charge, and we were gonna be out there for like 5 hours, so one battery would only last me maybe an hour and 10 minutes. So I didn't feel like there was a reason to bring the GoPro, which, now thinking about it, it really kind of, it gets at me. It gets at me and like my family, because everyone wants to see the catch. But yeah, I think for fellow creators out there, it's just, don't expect anything little. Always be prepared. And it just goes for anything. Trolling motor charge, you have enough gas, you gotta take all the precautions. And so, yeah, I think, you know, I kind of learned by force, but yeah, I think if I recorded it, it would be, you guys would not believe it. I mean, yeah, it would have been a pretty epic video aside from just from me talking. But yeah, that's all I have to say and add on. But yeah, once again, thanks for watching, and right after this, I'll put up all the pictures of my PB and my first hatchery steelhead.